Thank you. Good morning. We are so blessed. Here in South Florida, you guys are here because you are involved in this education ecosystem that we have built, that you have built, not just in Florida, but specifically down here in South Florida, where we see so much momentum in a place where we believe that certainly over the next 8 to 10 years, not only will Florida become even more the model state for school choice, as we have been. And I, as Erika said, I've traveled the country. I've been involved now in numerous efforts in other states and at the national level with think tanks, with others who are trying to replicate the education freedom environment that we have here in Florida. But that's not going to be enough, right? We need to be the model for both education freedom and academic excellence. And I know that that's what everyone here in this room is committed to, from K-12 to higher education, and not just education freedom and academic excellence, but the innovations that we have available to us now to help everyone in this ecosystem reach their fullest potential when it comes to academic excellence, when it comes to innovation, and when it comes to building the education system and environment that we cannot even imagine today. I have the pleasure of traveling and speaking to college groups now about education reform, and it's crazy to think that young people are interested in that, but they are, especially with the dismantling of the Department of Education, with what how COVID impacted their own education. And when I talk to these kids, I have a couple of examples that I use that I think really brings it home to them. Every one of us has a cell phone, and if you're like me, my cell phone is very well organized. I have all of the folders and all of them categorized. I know exactly where all of my apps are, and I know what apps I like and what I use each app for. Some other people don't organize their apps, and when you look at their phone, you're like, I don't know how you find anything. They have to search. But we all have a customized way that we operate. And what is even more personal than our cell phones is our education, and certainly our children's education as parents. And these kids, they get it when I say, can you imagine when you have children that you would allow the government to tell you how and where and by whom and when your children are educated? Just like it's ridiculous to think that a government would tell you what kind of phone you're going to use, what kind of apps you're going to use, how you're going to use them, when you're going to use them, how you're going to organize them. We would not allow for that, and we're not going to allow for that when it comes to our kids' education. We're going to empower parents to decide how and when and by whom and with what materials their children are educated. But where we are right now is nowhere near where we need to be. And the other example I use is, when I was a kid and my parents got a cell phone that was in a bag that they carried around on their shoulder, we thought it was the coolest thing ever. Oh my gosh, you can put a phone in a bag and carry it around and you can talk on it outside. And it was mind-blowing that that was possible. And we couldn't have imagined at that point the mini computers that we have in our pockets now. That now, with AI can do beyond the imagination, right? Can control autonomous agents on our computer doing, running businesses for us, right? That's what can happen from the cell phones that are in our pockets now. And we couldn't have imagined that capability. And I believe that our education system now, even with all the great choices that we have, even with the innovations that we have in place, we're still that big brick bag cell phone being carried around on someone's shoulder. And we cannot imagine when we unleash the capitalism, free market competition in education, and the accountability through radical transparency, rethinking our entire view of accountability when it comes to education, and empowering parents with the decision-making authority and the information that they need to make good decisions when it comes to customizing their children's education. Inviting education entrepreneurs into Florida specifically, but into the education marketplace as well, and say we want those innovations. And that Profit is not going to be a bad word when it comes to the education industry, because we want the best and the brightest to be building things that are going to help our children achieve the American dream. We want them to come into the education space, whether that's going to be used by public schools, charter schools, district schools, private schools, home schools, micro schools, and the types of schools that we haven't thought of yet. We want it all. We want a robust system of education that both honors parents' values and their desire to customize their children's education environment, something that aligns with how their kids learn, but never loses sight of the goal. And that is preparing kids with cultural literacy, with the knowledge base that they need to be productive citizens of this United States, defending this Western civilization and the republic that we hold so dear, but that also gives them that pathway to achieve the American dream, to raise a family, to own a business, to be productive, and everything in between. And we cannot do that at our current level of academic performance. There was a time when Governor Bush put in place our A through F grading system, our annual testing, and for the first time, we saw a comparable way to look at schools and their academic performance, and that was a huge innovation at the time. And we need a new resurgence of accountability. It is not going to look like one test for every child once a year. That was great for them. We need to completely rethink what accountability looks like in the education freedom era, in the AI era, in the innovation era, in the customization era. And we're gonna do that. And I want every one of you to be involved in that, because this is a new economy of education that we appreciate all that has been done by our districts and the innovations that they have brought to bear, and the testing and learning that they have brought into this, and the innovators and the school choice organizations, the charter schools, the private schools, the ed tech companies, many of whom are now locating here in Florida, to come into this space, and let's work together. Let's break down barriers together and work together to ensure that that vision of every parent having not only all the funding that they need and deserve to direct to where their children are going to go to school and customizing their education, but they have all of the information that they need, quality information about school safety, the value systems, but really most importantly, the academic excellence that is coming out of every single school and every single academic program in our state. We really need to be the best education system in the world. And we talk about where we are compared to other states, and in some ways we are doing much better than other states. Certainly in school choice, we are #1. But when it comes to academics, being #1 in the United States isn't good enough, because the United States is nowhere near where we need to be as a country. Our goal in Florida is to be #1 in the world, and every one of you is going to be part of achieving that. So thank you so much. I have the great pleasure of introducing the person who I believe will be leading that effort over the next 8 years, Congressman and hopefully future Governor Byron Donalds.